Donald Trump's administration is in crisis. They are dealing with slip-up after slip-up, scandal after scandal. We are seeing losses in Congress, in the courts, and it makes it so difficult for Donald Trump's propagandists to do their job, especially those at Fox, who, in the middle of this very busy news week, took aim at, of course, the most important issue, not Donald Trump's disgraceful spending budget, but Michelle Obama being triggered into a complete meltdown by something that she said that will really surprise you. It was completely ridiculous. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we see the clip of Michelle Obama on Fox that made them all freak out for some reason, I want to first take a look at something she said about the media standard that is so broken in this country that I think provides important context.
And I'm talking to everybody out there, that too many of us are still confused and buying into the lies and distortions from people who do not have our best interest at heart. So I want to address some of these concerns head on. Because when you lay out the options, this choice isn't even close. But whether it's online or in the media or in our social circles, there are folks who say they're not sure about Kamala. They accuse her of not providing enough policy detail. Some wonder, do we really know her? Is she too aggressive? Is she not aggressive enough? There are folks sowing seeds of doubt about whether she's who she appears to be. Now, don't get me wrong. Voters have every right to ask hard questions of any candidate seeking office. But can someone tell me why we are once again holding Kamala to a higher standard than her opponent? We expect her to be intelligent and articulate, to have a clear set of policies, to never show too much anger, to prove time and time again that she belongs. But for Trump, we expect nothing at all. No understanding of policy, no ability to put together a coherent argument, no honesty, no decency, no morals. Instead, too many people are willing to write off his childish, mean-spirited antics by saying, well, Trump's just being Trump, rather than question his horrible behavior. Some folks think he's funny. And if you remember, that's exactly how he got elected the first time. Folks gave him a pass and rolled the dice, betting that he couldn't possibly be that bad. And then there were those folks who didn't think it really mattered who the president was, if you can believe that. And still others who thought it'd be a good idea just to blow up our entire democracy. Let us not forget how badly that worked out for all of us. Let us not forget the incompetence and the corruption, the chaos that was the cornerstone of his entire 4 years in office. Let's start with the pandemic. Remember how
So, of course, that clip was from when Michelle Obama was campaigning for Kamala Harris, but it hasn't changed. Nothing that she said is any different today. It might actually be worse. This idea that media is inherently left-leaning just isn't true. Fox is the biggest cable outlet, the biggest podcast, or Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. Elon owns Twitter. What is this idea of a left-wing media bias? It's just not true. The coverage is completely different, especially when there are actual important pieces of news to be covered. Signalgate, Fox didn't touch it. This budget bill that is moving wealth from the bottom 50% of the country to the top 0.001%, they haven't said a word. Of course they haven't. They've been focused on Michelle Obama for some reason. And just take a look at what made them freak out.
Well, now let's turn to this. Former First Lady Michelle Obama has been on quite the podcast spree these days, and it feels like she's airing her and, well, her own and President Obama's dirty laundry. Let's try to look at that.
Sometimes I get in the bed and I'm freezing.
Yes.
And other times it's like, oh my God, take my skin off.
It's like, the change in temperature is wild. For any woman, anytime, but especially at this age.
It's a battle with a partner, right? Because he's always cold. And I'm like, do not touch. And sometimes I wake up hot and I'll wake him up. Did you touch the thermostat? You touched the thermostat, didn't you? He's like, it didn't, I swear to God. He now knows. He's afraid of the thermostat. I said, I don't care what you do. Do not touch anything in this room after I go to sleep. Do you wear an eye?
You know what? I'm just not ready for that. No. I'm not ready to hear about her menopause and waking up hot. It's a lot. It's a lot for a first lady. So I don't know if she's joking around or throwing shade at her husband. Question. Her latest comment to Airbnb CEO is certainly raising some eyebrows. Watch this.
You know, I have to say, Brian, if I'm a single girl out there and I find out that Brian Chesky is single and I can like stay in his house,
there she
have
goes.
you ever?
There you go. Right to the relationship,
ever...
but Brian, you don't have to be feel pressured.
No, but we've never talked about this.
He just got here.
Have you ever?
Her and her husband have tried to set me up before, so
I'm very invested in Brian's love life.
Tommy.
Everybody's got a podcast now. Isn't that crazy? Listen, I like when we see leaders from whatever party. I like when we see them kind of drop the facade and be themselves. I think we all enjoy that. I'm not mad at her for telling personal stories. But there is something about being a first lady and maybe kind of guarding a legacy a little bit, especially since it's the Obamas. People love the Obamas. And she's kind of airing out all the dirty laundry.
Now, I scrolled through the comments of this video because I was just so astonished that even for Fox, they could sink this low. And their own viewers were telling them how embarrassing it is that they think this is journalism. The Fox audience is upset that their host are talking about how Michelle Obama likes the thermostat. That's what they're doing right now. That's what they're covering. Donald Trump is passing the worst budget we have ever seen. And they're talking about Michelle Obama's podcast, trying to spin up some narrative that there's problems in her marriage. This is embarrassing. And it just shows how important independent and left-leaning media is, because this is the coverage coming out of the right. And it's not just attacks on Michelle Obama trying to distract from all the embarrassment that is Donald Trump's presidency and this disastrous budget, which, by the way, impacts red states disproportionately to blue states. What else are they covering, you think, this week? Not actual political news. They're talking about Kermit. Take a look.
Not bad, Riley. What do you think?
Imagine being a 22-year-old student who is graduating with your degree in aerospace engineering, and a frog from the Muppets is on stage telling you to stay connected with your people. I mean, you can't even make this up. Instead of honoring entrepreneurs or veterans or innovators, they picked Kermit the Frog. We have students who are drowning in debt, who are struggling to find jobs, and universities are handing the mic to puppets. Not puppets like many Democratic elected leaders, like a real puppet. It's all theater, literally. So I see this as the same institutions who have been pushing political agendas and cancel culture now want to use a puppet to inspire students. It's unserious, it's out of touch, and frankly, it's insulting.
So if you don't know who that blonde woman, who clearly has nothing inside of the bleach blonde hair, right, nothing in her head, that's Riley Gaines, the transphobic activist who got mad that a swimmer beat her when she came in like 9th place 6 years ago, and she's still yapping on. Well, what do you mean? Like Kermit the Frog speaking at your commencement is a bad thing. I enjoyed my commencement speaker. I thought she was great. But if it was Kermit the Frog, I would be thrilled. Who wouldn't love to see Kermit the Frog speak? Is this seriously what's going on at Fox right now? Like, we have reached a new level of embarrassment when we're attacking Michelle Obama for liking the thermostat at a certain temperature. Apparently that's Watergate level breaking news. And now a discussion of Kermit the Frog. It's insane, especially when you put that in context against Trump's latest commencement speech at West Point. Take a look.
A trophy one. It didn't work out too well. But that doesn't work out too well, I must tell you. A lot of trophy wives, doesn't work out. but it made him happy for a little while at least. But he found a new wife. He sold his little boat and he got a big yacht. He had one of the biggest yachts anywhere in the world. He moved for a time to Monte Carlo and he led the good life. And time went by and he got bored. And 15 years later, the company that he sold to called him and they said, the housing business is not for us. You have to understand, when Bill Levitt was hot, when he had momentum, he'd go to the job sites every night. He'd pick up every loose nail.
Now, I think every graduate of West Point would much rather have listened to Rainbow Connection, to have been told that life's a movie and that they should write their own ending, than to hear Donald Trump blather on. What is happening? This just goes to show the panic that Republicans are feeling in Washington and throughout their media apparatus, because they know how bad this bill is. Why do you think they were trying to pass it in the dead of night at 2 o'clock in the morning? It's because they don't want you to see what they are doing. But Jim McGovern does, and he called it out right here.
You're slashing benefits from children, from seniors living on fixed incomes, from veterans who served this country and now rely on food assistance just to get by. And why? And why? So that the top 0.1%, people making over $3.5 million a year, can pocket $314,000 a year in new tax giveaways. I mean, you are literally taking food off kids' plates to buy Elon Musk another yacht. I guess he's getting a good return on his campaign donations, but I just find this whole thing disgusting. And look, at the end of the day, this is simple. It is simple. It's about whose side you're on. You guys wrote this bill for the top 0.1%. You wrote it for the billion-dollar corporations who offshore jobs and dodge taxes. You wrote it for the big oil and big pharma CEOs who rip people off. You wrote it for the rich and famous, for the people who never, ever have to worry about where their next meal is coming from or how to take care of their elderly parents. So you guys picked a side, okay? You picked the billionaires. I get it. You want to betray the people who voted for you. You want to sell them out because Trump told you to. But guess what? Democrats are picking a side too. And we are siding with the vast, vast, vast majority of Americans who you are going to screw over with this bill.
This bill is a disgrace. It is a disaster. It'll do damage for generations. Josh Hawley said that. Rand Paul said that. Not only is it exploding the deficit, but it is an attack on some of the most vulnerable people in our country. But that's what Republicans want, as long as it's paying for a tax cut for billionaires. It's gross. We got to call it out. Well, and not, I guess, talk about Kermit the Frog. We will talk positively about Kermit the Frog on this show. It is not easy being green, and we will respect him and his great work as an American hero. And you can expect a lot more of that on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.